Hi, Paula. My question is whether it makes sense to roll money from an IRA into a 401k. So, a bit of background, I have a Vanguard IRA that has both Roth and traditional IRAs at Vanguard. This IRA money is money that I rolled from old 401ks into an IRA. However, I now have a 401k with Fidelity that has good low cost options. And I'm wondering if it would make sense to roll my traditional IRA at Vanguard into my traditional 401k at Fidelity in order to potentially in the future be able to do a backdoor Roth at Vanguard. Currently, with my current employer, I can do a mega backdoor Roth at Fidelity, so I'm not currently needing to do a backdoor Roth at Vanguard. But I'm wondering if in the future, if I wanted to do a backdoor Roth, if it would make sense to get rid of the traditional IRA money there in order to avoid the pro rata rule. Seems like mostly people are rolling 401ks into IRAs, but wondering if in this case it might ever make sense to roll an IRA back into a 401k, given that my 401k right now has great investment options. Thanks for your advice and everything you do.
Greta, thank you so much for that question. And by the way, congratulations on it sounds like the new 401k is a pretty great place to be. And Paula, I think I have a short answer for Greta and I have a longer answer for Greta. Which one do you want first?
Ooh, okay. Let's start with the short answer.
Yeah. The short answer is never, ever, ever do this. Don't swim upstream. And we're done. Unless you want the longer answer. Do you want?
Yes, let's hear the longer answer. Why is that?
The longer answer is because of two things. Number one is management changes at any company often come with cost-cutting measures and things that sometimes aren't great for employees. And a great place for a management team that is in cost-cutting mode to cut is those favorable conditions on the 401k. It's expensive to manage a 401k. And while fees have definitely dipped over the past 30 years, they've gotten smaller and smaller. That doesn't mean they'll always be that way. That also doesn't mean that you'll always have great options. And if you roll it to a 401k now, you're going to have to roll it back later. Now, the cool thing is that 401ks, even with good options, often cap those options so that there's maybe 10 or 20 or 30 so they don't confuse people. And even if they have 30, they don't have the same number that Schwab has or Fidelity has or Vanguard has, where you've got everything available. So no matter how great your 401k is, use the IRA as an opportunity to diversify around it. So what I'm talking about is this. Let's say you've got a 401k that's very strong in large companies and small companies, and you want those funds in your portfolio. But you also, let's say, want some international. And your 401k has horrible international options, but Vanguard has a good one. Use Vanguard to get that better international exposure that you want. Use the 401k to do the small company and large company funds. And if somebody from the outside looks at your stuff, they'll go, well, this isn't diversified. Why are you all international? But when they look at the entire picture, all the things that you're trying to do, Greta, you've got better diversification because of the fact that you controlled your fees. You gave yourself better upside by having the best of whatever was available. So I always like the two table option with that IRA and whatever your 401k is. And I generally have a mistrust of maybe not this current management team you work for, but that your company will always continue to do the right thing, because you often see that the company doesn't do the right thing in the future. The other piece is, even for people that think that they have a very low cost 401k, often they don't. but you don't see it. Companies are very good at hiding fees, and I'll show you how they do this. If you look at the fund that you have and you go to morningstar.com, you'll see on Morningstar that when you invest through Vanguard or through Fidelity or through Schwab in a mutual fund, you'll often use an investment that is, let's say it's the Vanguard S&P 500 investment class. They may use a different class of the same fund inside your 401k that has higher expenses that allows the management team to pass the cost of administering the 401k onto you in a hidden way, because the internal cost of the fund is different than what you may look up. Often I would meet with people and they would go look up their fund. They're like, oh, this is decent. And I would say, no, you don't have that class fund. You have this class. Then we go look up that one, and surprise, surprise, management team has hidden fees behind your back. So maybe that's the case, maybe not. We're also seeing that shell game happening in fewer companies. We see it more in small companies than in large companies. Small companies are less likely to get pushback on the 401k options, and frankly also are more strapped for cash. So on both sides of the equation, small companies are much more likely to pass on the fee than a big company is. And also large companies have economies of scale where investment companies that run 401ks are much more likely to go, oh, you've got $1 billion. We'd love to manage that, and we'll cut our fees by a lot, where they won't do that for a small employer. So I would, for all those reasons, I would not ever, ever, ever swim the opposite way. I would always leave my IRA money in an IRA. And when I leave an employer, I'm much more likely to not pay attention to what's going on at that company anymore. And I would always roll that into this parent IRA. So I've got this IRA from all of my different jobs that I've had, and I'm constantly adding to it when I change jobs. So this master IRA, and then I have the 401k where I'm working now. And that's the way I like to run it.